Welcome, dear listeners, to another intriguing episode of the Real Talk podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and today we're stepping into that time machine to revisit 1981 and dive into the horror film The Burning. This cinematic gem holds a unique place in the annals of the genre for reasons both good and troubling. In this episode, we'll dissect the film's merits, its flaws, and unpack its controversial production history. The 1981 horror film The Burning was directed by Tony Malum. The story takes place at Camp Blackfoot, a summer camp near a lake in upstate New York. Several years prior, a prank gone horribly wrong left the camp's caretaker, Cropsey, severely burned and disfigured. Now, Cropsey has been released from the hospital and is filled with a burning desire for revenge. As the campers and staff arrive at Camp Blackfoot for another summer, they are unaware of the danger that lurks in the nearby woods. Cropsey, consumed by hatred and vengeance, embarks on a killing spree. Armed with a pair of large gardening shears, he stalks and brutally murders anyone who crosses his path, seeking retribution for the agony he endured. Amidst the bloodshed and terror, a group of campers and counselors must band together to survive the relentless attacks from the vengeful Cropsey. The Burning is a classic example of the slasher subgenre that gained popularity in the early 1980s, offering gruesome kills, suspense, and a relentless killer seeking to settle old scores. We'll start by peeling back the layers of The Burning to explore its cinematic aesthetics and missed opportunities that prevented it from becoming a horror classic. Now, when we talk about The Burning, we can't help but acknowledge the era that it comes from. The early 80s, a golden age for slasher films. Halloween, Friday the 13th, and A Nightmare on Elm Street were setting the standard for suspense, atmosphere, and unforgettable kills. Burning had the potential to join this illustrious lineup, but it falls short. The film's aesthetics, while occasionally punctuated with moments of gruesome violence, lack the subtlety and masterful suspense of genre classics. The atmosphere, a crucial element in horror, often takes a back seat to a formulaic approach to gore. The setting of Camp Blackfoot provides the perfect backdrop for building tension, but it's underutilized. The isolation of the camp, the dense woods, and the eerie lake could have been leveraged to create an atmosphere ripe with dread. We've seen what can be achieved in this type of setting with films like Friday the 13th. The potential for tension was there, but it wasn't fully realized. Cinematographically, The Burning doesn't take full advantage of visual storytelling. There's a lack of depth and symbolism that could have enriched the narrative. Subtle visual cues can enhance horror, but here they're largely absent. Moreover, the camera work lacks finesse. The use of point of view shots and creative framing, techniques employed masterfully by genre greats, are somewhat overlooked. These elements can immerse the audience in the terror of the characters, but in The Burning, they don't reach their full potential. The missed opportunity lies in the fact that The Burning had the ingredients for a great slasher film: a vengeful killer, a terrifying setting, and a group of potential victims. However, it falls short in delivering the suspense and atmosphere that would elevate it to the ranks of its 80s counterparts. Next, I do want to delve a little deeper into the problematic backstory of The Burning and its connections to the Weinstein brothers. In this segment, we're delving into that troubling aspect uh, due to its connections to the Weinstein brothers, Bob and Harvey. Their involvement in this film is disheartening, and it's a layer of the film's history that we can't just ignore. Now, before we go any further, we need to address a sobering fact. The Burning stands as one of the earliest projects of Bob and Harvey Weinstein in the film industry. At this point in the early 80s, they were far from the infamous figures they would become, associated with a multitude of disturbing allegations and a deeply tarnished reputation. Knowing what we know about the Weinstein brothers' actions and the allegations that would later engulf them, it's difficult not to view The Burning through a tainted lens. It's an unsettling connection and one that forces us to question how to engage with the film. While we don't want to diminish the creative work of the countless individuals involved in the making of this film, it's imperative to acknowledge the dark cloud that hovers over the Weinstein brothers' legacy. The burning represents one of the earliest steps in the film industry, and it's a connection we can't simply sweep under the rug. As film enthusiasts, we're often confronted with the challenge of separating the art from the artist. In the case of the burning, it's a test of discernment and ethical considerations. How do we evaluate a film when its very existence is intertwined with individuals whose actions have caused immense harm? It's a dilemma with no easy answers, and one that underscores the complexities of the cinematic world, both on and off screen. Next, let's look at some of the talent that emerged from The Burning and the enduring appeal of its cast, despite the film's flaws and problematic associations. Starting with some of the early showcases of future TV stars. Among them, we find actors like Jason Alexander and Holly Hunter in their debut roles. First, with Jason Alexander, this is one of his, like I said, one of his earliest roles. While his character is a far cry from the George Costanza we'd later come to love on Seinfeld, his charisma and comedic timing are already evident. It's intriguing to witness his early work and see the seeds of talent that would eventually flourish in his television career. Holly Hunter, too, makes her debut in The Burning. She plays an important role in the film, and while it's clear she's still honing her craft, her natural talent is unmistakable. Her future career, which includes an Academy Award, speaks volumes about her potential in these early days. Brian Backer and Fisher Stevens, although not as well known as the others, also make their marks. They offer solid performances in this film and primarily relies on its characters' reactions to the impending danger. Their work here sets the stage for the careers they would later pursue in film and television. While The Burning may not be celebrated for its storytelling, it is a treasure trove for those interested in the early careers of these talented actors. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of the film's cast, despite the film's overall shortcomings. Next, we'll dive into the formulaic plot of The Burning and discuss how it falls short in delivering the tension and suspense that define the best horror films. The Burning adheres to a formulaic slasher plot. A group of young campers, a vengeful killer, and the predictable sequence of gruesome murders. While this formula worked wonders for some 80s classics, it didn't quite hit the mark here. The narrative of The Burning revolves around the recently released Cropsey, who, hell bent on seeking revenge, finds the isolated setting of Camp Blackfoot, surrounded by dense woods and an airy lake, which could have been leveraged to create an atmosphere ripe with dread, like we've seen achieved in other films of this type. The potential for tension was there, but never fully realized. While some of the kills are gruesome, they lack emotional impact and suspense that make for a memorable horror moment. In The Burning, the characters often meet grisly fates without the audience feeling a genuine connection to their plight. The film doesn't do justice to the cat and mouse game between the killer and his victims, a crucial element that defines the best slasher films. The tension, the sense of being relentlessly pursued, is somewhat diluted. Additionally, The Burning misses the opportunity to develop its characters beyond simple archetypes. This lack of depth hampers the audience's ability to emotionally invest in their survival, which is essential in a successful horror film. In essence, the film becomes a series of gruesome set pieces, lacking the emotional depth or tension needed for a truly successful horror experience. It's clear that while The Burning had the ingredients for a great slasher film, it never quite capitalizes on them. In this final segment, real quick, let's reflect on The Burning as a whole and give it a final rating. The Burning is a problematic film, not just because of its questionable production history, but also because it fails to reach its potential as a notable 80s horror edition. Because of that, I have to rate it 4 out of 10, primarily getting those points because of the presence of future TV stars and the curiosity it ignites. As cinephiles, we are often challenged to appreciate a film's cinematic merits while confronting the uncomfortable associations that surround it. The Burning is no exception. While it isn't destined for greatness, the film remains a reminder of the complexities and challenges within the film industry, both on and off screen. It's a lesson in discernment, urging us to separate the film from its problematic past and recognize the presence of emerging talent within it. It's essential to acknowledge that even in the shadow of controversy, films like The Burning continue to captivate and intrigue audiences. The allure of the horror genre, with its blend of terror and curiosity, is a testament to the enduring appeal of the enigmatic movies. And so, dear listeners, as we conclude our discussion of The Burning, we encourage you to engage in thoughtful conversations about the ethical dilemmas that sometimes accompany the art of cinema. And remember, even in the darkest corners of film history, there can be a glimmer of talent and a spark of fascination. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of The Burning. I encourage you to engage in discussions surrounding the ethical dilemmas that sometimes accompany the art of cinema. If you have any thoughts, questions, or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us at therealrealtalk@gmail.com. Again, that's therealrealtalk@gmail.com. And stay tuned for more reviews on the Real Real Talk podcast. In our next episode, we'll be delving into something a little more lighthearted and getting out of this horror theme mood that we had this October and looking at the classic Western comedy Support Your Local Sheriff, starring James Garner. We look forward to having you with us for that discussion. Thank you, and let's go watch a movie.